Woo! Yo, what's up, everybody?
Hey!
Welcome to the Superhero News Network. I'm Johnny Parker. This is
Tatiana.
And we're here to talk about all cool things, superhero and whatnot. So, Gary, to this, Tati, how's your week been going?
It's been going great. Yeah, it's been real busy and it's been full of superhero news.
Really?
Yeah.
Dope. It's weird. It's like it's December, and you think this will be the time where like everything kind of like slows down, but instead it's like
Christmas goodies.
Exactly. We get all these nice little things coming.
Non-denominational. Winter time goodies, winter solstice,
goodies,
anything.
yeah. Hanukkah goodies,
yeah.
Little treats every day. Gefilte fish is coming.
It's kind of been like Hanukkah, hasn't it? Like just been like one thing every day.
This is true. This is true. And you have DC trying to make one franchise hopefully last for a whole year, trying to just carry them all the way through. So yeah, very similar.
I believe.
Okay, so jumping right into it. Again, thanks for being here, everybody. We got some cool stuff to talk about. We got some Jupiter Legacy news.
Yes, and it's called the Miller World. Is
yeah,
that what it is?
Like the Millerverse and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So for people that don't know, Jupiter Legacy was this really cool comic series put out by Mark Millar a while back. And the cool thing about it is that Jupiter Legacy is when it's kind of his return to like his American Jesus storylines he did, where he did a more serious like superhero story and whatnot. It's kind of like his version of like I would say like Watchmen in a way.
That does make sense. Like Watchmen, yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was your thoughts on Jupiter Legacy?
Well, I didn't actually read the comic myself, but everything that I've read about it, it sounds really interesting. Like he said, he was inspired by the Great Recession and like how Americans reacted to that, and sort of like kind of like what comes after lots of abundance, and now you're kind of left with something similar to the millennials, like what we're feeling right now. So I thought that's interesting. Like I think it's the perfect, it's the perfect show to make at this point in time.
Exactly, and like you said, it's a perfect show to make at this point in time. What's cool is it's being adapted to like a Netflix series, and so we got some cool news about it. So they casted for it, or
they're looking for actors. Like they're looking at certain actors. So we've heard that they're looking for Eric Bana for the main guy, who is his name is Sheldon. Every time I think I'm like Big Bang Theory, but yes, his name is Sheldon Sampson. And he's sort of like the Superman analog. He's the Utopian, I think, is his superhero name. So it's like super strength, eyeballs that can sizzle you, laser eyes, etc. And then Pablo Schreiber, who's everywhere ever since Orange is the New Black.
Oh, okay.
So Pablo Schreiber to play his brother, Walter Sampson. So these are like 2 out of 6 of the first generation of superheroes who got their powers in the 1930s.
Interesting.
Yeah, which makes me think like they must be immortal now, right? Because if we're taken to the present day, like first they got their powers in the 1930s. Mm-hmm. They had their whole like first like marriage situation, whatever is going on there. And then I know that Eric Bana's character, if he does take the role, right? Sheldon gets remarried in the 1960s and then has kids, and now those kids are like 20. So I'm like, okay, clearly he's 100 years old and still looks like Eric Bana.
There it is. There it is.
That's great.
All right, props.
Yes, and Marina Baccarin, who I love deeply and is in like all the superhero things.
She
so
really
why
is
not
lately,
one more?
Exactly.
Is being looked at to play Sheldon's wife, Grace, who is Lady Liberty, another one of the original 6. And she is his second wife. Because first he married some chick named Jane, and Grace loved him from afar. And then he and Jane divorced, and Grace was like, hello, I'm still here. And now they had children.
There it is, done. So I gotta say, I'm really legit, like, really excited for this series. Like, I love like Mark Millar's, like some of Mark Millar's writing and whatnot. But
some of it, I like a qualifier.
Qualifier. But I gotta say, like, I'm really excited for this series because a lot of people talk about how there's like no money in comics and whatnot.
Right.
And what's really dope here is you have an individual comic creator who's like created his own creations. He kind of bypassed the big two in a way. He was like, I don't need to put out things with Marvel. I need to put things up with DC. Not even Image to a certain degree.
Right.
He put out his own books, and now he's like got this Netflix deal. Where in a way, again, he's being successful on his own. And it's kind of inspiring to like all creators who are like getting out there doing their own thing. Is that, you know what, you can like be successful, like hold on to your properties and like be independent and be successful in this business.
That's right. And it is cool to see someone who's sort of like an iconoclast in that way. Yeah, for sure. And I know that like Netflix is looking kind of to replenish their now dead Marvel portfolio with Millar's work, so that'll seem interesting.
Yeah,
I remember reading or hearing that they were thinking of making a film of Jupiter's Legacy like back in 2015. So I guess like that's obviously dead, and now we're gonna get a series instead. And I almost always prefer a series to movies. So.
Same. Like I was talking about last week, I just finished what's called The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh yes, I just watched that this last week
no!
too.
Well, boom, so good, right? So good.
I know it was really good. Really good.
If it had something comic related, it would be on my pull list. But what's dope about it is that if you're watching it, it feels like an actual like book. And each episode feels like a chapter.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like comics and books are really better for television because it gives you more of a long form storytelling.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we're talking about with Jupiter Legacy. Like imagine if they did Watchmen as like a 12-issue Netflix series, it probably would have been so much better.
That's true. Oh, hey, we've got a super chat, which we love. By the way, you guys can always use the little $sign to give us super chats because we love you, you love us. Fantasy Knight said, "I'd love to hear thoughts on the end of the 100th episode of The Flash."
Oh,
and I have thoughts on those. Did you watch the 100th episode?
I heard about it.
You heard about it, yes. Should we give thoughts now?
Go ahead.
All right. Well, okay. So in case you guys don't know, spoilers. The final scene of the 100th episode was the revelation that Nora is actually working with Eobard Thawne in the future. She's been sending him, like, basically updates on how her dad's doing. And and she didn't know stuff like he killed her grandma. So she goes to confront Eobard, and she's like, hey, listen, it turns out you're a really bad guy, and not just, like, someone who plays Super Smash Bros. With my father every month. So now we're going to find out exactly, you know, what she and Thawne were actually doing together, and how she's gonna, I guess, react now that she knows that he's much worse than she thought. And I think that she like went sort of like a research project, right? She's obsessed with the Flash. She knows her dad was the Flash, so she went to jail to visit Thawne and find out about her dad because Iris wouldn't tell her anything. And that's when Thawne probably revealed, like, hey, guess what? You have powers too. And your mom did this and that, and sort of gave Nora a, like, biased version of events, right? Like, here's the whole history, but fake news. And so, with that in mind, Nora got really mad at her mom, and then went back in time with Thawne's plan to, quote-unquote, save her dad, right? Like, I bet Thawne was like, I really miss Barry. We used to have so much fun just beating each other up. You know, I'd really like him to be alive again. So if you do these things, I guarantee that he will be. But really, he's got a much more devious plan that she is accidentally helping him.
I gotta say, I'm actually excited for it because the thing about it is that these past few seasons not having like the Reverse Flash and like in a more prominent role has kind of been lacking, and it's kind of cool to get back to that. And especially like honestly, as soon as we were like going back to the future, I was like, I kind of have a feeling like we're either going to get like Reverse Flashback or we'll get a DeLorean. It's one or two things. Yeah. And so by getting back to Reverse Flash, I was like, cool, I'm excited for this. I'm happy where this is going to take the storyline and like challenge a little bit. And plus, honestly, the Reverse Flash was one of the better parts of that last season of Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and also just Reverse Flash is his number one enemy.
It
you know?
is, yeah.
And it's like his enemy for his entire life. He's there at the beginning, he's there at the end. So it makes perfect sense to bring him back for the 100th episode.
Yeah.
And beyond.
So I'm happy they're building upon that, adding more to the legacy. So dope, good job. Thanks for the question, Batusi.
Yeah. But yeah, speaking of legacy, Jupiter Legacy.
Transition.
Yes,
Transition.
also a generational tale, right? So it's not just that first generation of the brothers that we talked about, but their kids are supposed to be superheroes, but like maybe they kind of don't want to be. Maybe they kind of want to like, you know, that's your dream, Dad. So there's conflict between the parents and the kids, and there's a lot of conflict that I spoiled myself on that I will not spoil you guys on because it's super important. But
you gotta wait for it to come out. But again,
yes.
I think this was one reason why Netflix went towards it so much because like, talking about it before, that's what makes it so much like Watchmen-like is the fact it had those legacy of heroes. You see how the children react to this about how they just don't want to do that and how superheroes are seen like behind the mask, everything like that.
Right.
So it seems like again a perfect series for Netflix where you can like dive deep into it. I'm looking forward to it. Like congrats Netflix on getting a good series and getting that going.
Yeah.
And speaking of other superhero TV news,
That's right.
Transition. We got some Batwoman casting news.
Woo! I know. I'm very excited for this. I was a little bit concerned about which characters they'd be incorporating, and then when I read these breakdowns, I was like, I know these guys, and I love all of them. So we had an article that went out, I think it was today, right? By our very own Andy, of course, who is wonderful.
Yay, Andy!
And he wrote up some of the characters for us, so I think that we'll just read them to you now.
And
we'll read you guys like what it says their names are, and then also who they obviously are. So Joseph is a Caucasian male in his late 40s to mid 50s, and he's described as a former high-ranking military colonel who instead of grieving the terrible loss of his wife and one of his daughters, formed his own army in order to make sure no one else ever has to go through the tragedy that he experienced. Joseph leads a private security and logistics firm in Gotham City called The Crows. He is extremely tough, political, and emotionless, but he has one weakness that makes him soften, and that is his other daughter, who he constantly tries to push away. So clearly, this is Jacob Kane, Kate Kane's dad that she works with in the comics. So they obviously have like a bit of a love-hate dynamic that we will have to see play out. And then we've got Alexa, who is a 27-year-old Caucasian who is Batwoman's greatest enemy. And basically her own personal Joker.
Pretty much.
Yep. She is a woman who experienced tremendous trauma in her sensitive years that caused her to divorce herself from reality by living in a fantastical world where she is the star. She's attached to Victorian attire and is a charming lunatic who goes from being psychotic to caring back and forth very easily, and her unreliable behavior is a dangerous weapon in and of itself. So who does that sound like to you?
Her female Joker. There it is.
Yes, her female Joker, yes.
There it is.
It's her twin sister, which I guess is going to be a fraternal twin since they're casting her. It's not just going to be Ruby Rose twice.
Ooh, that would be dope though if they did that. That would be dope.
It makes me wonder why they didn't do that, because she is supposed to be her identical twin.
Exactly,
but in this case, clearly it's fraternal twin. Elizabeth, who goes by the name of Alice when she's in her crazy town times. So, yeah.
That'd be cool.
It is. I think it's going to be very exciting, because I was saying, like, if you're going to do Batwoman, you have to have Alice as her big bad. Otherwise, what are you doing with your life?
Exactly. It's like you got to, pretty much as if you were doing a Nightwing TV show, you would need, like, Blockbuster there as, like, the main villain and whatnot. So you got to, like, stay true to it. So it's dope.
And then we have Sloane, a Latina in her late 20s and early 30s. Or early 30s, not both, obviously. She was brought up in a tight-knit family and is feisty, charming, but with incredible fighting abilities, soldier experiences, and has become one of the best agents for the Crows. She always goes by the book. Except for when she is hiding a deep secret from her husband, which is that she is in love, or was in love with Kate Kane. So, aside from the husband thing, which I was like, wait, what? Other than that, she's very clearly Renee Montoya. So, I'm very happy about this, because I have been hoping for Renee Montoya from the moment that I heard about Batwoman. Wow. And I know that when Batwoman was first announced, people were saying, like, oh, Batwoman and Alex should get together, or bring Maggie on, because they wanted Floriana Lima back. And I was like, please do not bring Floriana Lima's fake Latina ass onto Batwoman in order to make her the love interest. Bring real Latina Maggie Sawyer. Not Maggie Sawyer, but Renee Montoya. Thank you. That's all. So...
All right, dope. Yeah. I mean, it sounds good. And I love the fact that Renee Montoya is there. I mean, so here's the thing. So Renee Montoya, as people know, again, prominent cop within Gotham. She's like very close to the Bat family and whatnot. And at one point, she actually becomes the Question.
Yes.
But here's the thing, though. We also have the Birds of Prey movie. Being done. So how do you think they're going to balance that out? Because like a lot of people are wanting Renee Montoya to show up in the Birds of Prey movie as well. Do you think they're going to do like a balancing out, have her be in both, or she's just going to be on Batwoman?
Well, I think that because Renee Montoya in the Birds of Prey movie is Rosie Perez, and she's like much older, it's like a very different route that they're taking with her, I would imagine. So I think that it's possible for them to have them both on like totally separate tracks in two different universes, which is what I hope they do anyway.
That's the weird thing about DC a lot of times, because they were literally doubling up on their characters and whatnot. Like with Marvel, you can say, okay, they're trying to stay in on straight and arrow, so it's like, there's like one version of like pretty much of like Daredevil running around on the Netflix series and whatnot. But with DC, they're going to have maybe 2 or 3 different versions of heroes like popping up in different places. But at the same time, it gives a lot of these characters exposure and whatnot. So let me ask you this though: in Renee's like storyline on Batwoman, do you think she's going to go down the storyline becoming the Question?
Yes. Right. I mean, I just think that that's the most exciting. Like, when you've got years to go, with hopefully it lasts years, then why not take it the Question route? But we've got a couple more of our characters. So we've got Landon, who is an African-American male in his early 20s, devoted to Batman. Landon comes from an imperative legacy that has serviced the Cape Crusader with engineered gadgets. With Wayne Enterprises now abandoned, Landon is the one keeping it secure. While he's brilliant with tech, his social skills aren't exactly the strongest, as he goes out of his way not to make friends, and after being betrayed by Gotham's bureaucracy. But with the Dark Knight missing, Landon soon begins to understand Gotham City's demand for a new hero. So this is 2 things. Obviously, it's Fox, but then there's
some tidbits of information right there too.
Yes, like the fact that Gotham, that the Knight is missing.
Exactly.
So Batman is like missing in action somewhere, which will explain how come we don't see him. which I think is great. Like, there's actually a plot line there.
Okay, we gotta talk about that. But before we do that, though,
yeah.
we got a super chat. Thank you, Toku Kid. Toku says, if Batman shows up, it should be the kid from Gotham. Toku. Toku, no.
Okay,
Toku,
listen,
no.
That's okay. Toku just likes to joke around. I know this. He's always lying to me. But if it was, I can't even imagine it because he's so much younger than Ruby Rose.
Really so.
It's not possible. But it would be hilarious, especially if they just like brought him back in like aged makeup.
Exactly.
And now suddenly
he's just speaking with a deep like Christian Bale voice. I am the knight. What have you been doing in my city this whole time? You need to leave.
Oh my god. Yeah. So that's a great idea, Toku Kid. Thank you for sharing that with us. But yes, I do think it's really great that this is opening the door for them to find Bruce eventually, and then eventually cast someone, but also explaining why he's not around.
Yeah, I love the fact too that again it's like paying like the fact that they're saying that Bruce isn't around means again like you said they have to go searching for Bruce, they have to find him out, but it also gives the potential as well as introducing multiple members of the Bat family, and low key we could get a Batman on television.
Yeah,
I mean the cool thing about it is if you think about Supergirl was a really backdoor way of us getting a Superman on television, right. And now they're playing around with like doing an actual Superman television series, and so this could be a way of us finally getting a Batman television series.
And I don't think that there's overkill with characters like that, just because there's so many different ways that you can take them. And,
no, totally. Because the thing about it is, though, is like I make fun of Arrow every week. Because it deserves to be fun of.
Because it's bargain basement Batman?
Pretty much it's a bootleg Batman. And the thing about it is, though, is like, even though if they brought Batman in now, people would be like, well, what villains are going to use? Well, here's the thing. We know he's used Ra's al Ghul, but you still have, like, Black Mask. You still have Two-Face. You still have the Joker. You have all these different people you can bring to television and still explore them. Because, like, right now, the cinematic universe is looking really shaky, but on television, they're going pretty strong.
Yeah, that's true. And so, anyway, just in case you didn't know what character that was, it could be Lucius Fox or it could be his son, Lucas Fox. Right? So, either way.
Batwing.
Yeah,
yep.
Batwing, yeah. But either way, it's exciting because I love him. Like, I love both Foxes, but I'm very glad that one of them is going to be in the show. And then finally, we have characters that I'm not that familiar with. But here we go. Meredith, a woman in her early 20s, in a role that is open for any ethnicity, but with a preference for Asian or Latino actresses. She has a lovely and heavy demeanor, which makes it easy to view her as an airheaded amateur. And although she is considered too chatty, she's also deeply compassionate towards those the city has forgotten. And her compassion is only surpassed by her intelligence. Like Kate Kane, Meredith has a secret life of her own in Gotham City. And she also has a mother, Charlotte, a woman in her late 40s to mid-50s, also looking for Asian or Latina actresses. And she's knowledgeable, fashionable, and motivated, comes from wealth, built an empire from arms dealing, and uses the money with the intent to make Gotham a more secure and safer place.
Oh, that's cool. Nice. So in a way, it kind of sounds possibly like Flamebird.
Yes, that is who it's supposed to be, Flamebird. Or we're imagining it's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Bat Kane, who is another cousin of Kate's.
Yeah, exactly. And as a character, this name is lineage been living around for a while. Because for people who don't know, like Flamebird in the comics is usually, again, let's just say kind of airheaded. She's kind of like the Booster Gold of like the Bat family in a way. She's kind of like somebody who's doing the super heroics for the fame and whatnot, all those type of different things, which leads her to being in like perilous situations, and most of the Bat family have to bail her out. They don't use her that often, but when they do, again, she's usually portrayed that way.
Yeah, and I think that would be really fun to have her like just be like a more like excitable, like someone who really wants to help out, but like maybe isn't that great at it. And then you've got like Batwoman seems like a more serious character who maybe has to like be brought out, kind of like a Batwoman or Batman and Robin situation, Batwoman and Flamebird.
Exactly, I agree. Because it goes back to the original Nightwing and Flamebird, where there was a sidekick there.
Yeah.
So that'd be dope. It gives her a sidekick. And we got another super chat. Says maybe bring Blue Beetle Jamie as a wild card. Laugh out loud.
That would be amazing.
Oh wow.
Well, you know there's supposed to be a Blue Beetle movie.
Exactly.
Right?
They
we
just
got
announced
that
that
news. Which I, say lightly because I never know if a DC movie is actually made or not. But I could be convinced that he's coming to Batwoman. So I'm all about that.
Could be a possibility. How do you feel about the Blue Beetle movie that's getting made?
I mean, if it happens, I'll be super excited. But just because I love Blue Beetle, I love Jaime Reyes, but what? What are your feelings? Why are you being negative?
I'm not being negative. I'm not being negative. I'm being critical.
Okay,
I'm being critical.
Give me your critique. Give me your critique.
I don't know. Like, again, I would have to see how they would do it because, again, DC hasn't really done that much with, like, younger heroes and whatnot.
Right.
And the thing about it is, though, I mean, Blue Beetle, again, when it comes to like Latino heroes, Blue Beetle, Ghost Rider, or whatnot, there are far and few in between. So if they did it, I totally support it. But I'm like, y'all gotta do it right though.
Right.
So that's the thing though, because again, like as much as I was happy for like Black Panther, we have Wonder Woman getting made, we have Captain Marvel being made. We still have yet to see like a Latino superhero on screen. And so the thing about it is, I'm totally down for this, but it's just like the expectation that if you're going to do it, you gotta do it right. Exactly. Sure. So if they were to do this, I'm just like, get something else right first and do Jamie. Like, you know, just don't mess him up because like we need him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Don't mess him up. Yeah, you heard it here.
Okay, so going back to casting, so we got all these cool characters on there, but let me ask you this though: is there anybody who they don't have potentially on the show that you would like to see part of like Batwoman's like family?
Well, Bruce. No, I mean, honestly, like. I was like, I have no other requests. I only have Alice and Renee as my, like, I need to have them there. Otherwise, it's not a Batwoman story. Okay. Yeah. Do you have any Batwoman feelings?
One, I'm loving the casting choices. And I'm loving the characters they're choosing to bring along. I'm loving all the moves they're making with the show right now. It feels really right. So I'm looking forward to it. It doesn't seem like it's trying to get muddled in like the usual like CW waters right now. Right. So let's like
the only thing that is a little bit CW muddly is that Sloane has a husband. Oh, yeah. So true. Unnecessary. Yeah, true, yeah, exactly. But anyway, continue.
But the one thing that I would say, like, I love the fact they're bringing Flamebird, but low-key, if they could, they have more fun with it and give it a backdoor, bringing more back characters. I love to see Cassandra Cain Batgirl on here. Yes. Because then you get this polarizing thing. We have one person who's, like, really light-haired, who's really goofy, trying to be a hero.
And one who doesn't speak.
Exactly. Just straight up like assassin, so it gives a dual polarity to it and everything like that. And you have Batwoman in the middle. I think it brings, like, a lot of balance to the show.
I like that.
So yeah, we're going to go CW. Good to go. I'm looking forward to this. Okay.
And you know what I'm looking forward to?
What?
Your pull list.
Oh, transition. High five. Boom. Okay. So going into my pull list, I have some cool recommendations for everybody this week. So I went through and read a lot of different things. Oh, I almost forgot my song. I'm sorry. Thank you. Song, please.
Johnny's pull list. Oh, we had a chorus. I love
every week is getting more and more. In 6 weeks, I'm having like a brass band and everything like that.
Yes, a full length song. It'll just be 3 minutes
man.
of.
I've seen homeless Josh carry guitar. Maybe he'll play that someday.
Oh man.
So check it out. So this week I want to give you guys some reading recommendations that I thought might prepare you for like some things that are coming soon. So first off, I want to recommend to you with Spider-Verse coming along. I have a book that's pretty awesome. It's called Spider-Girl. So, The Amazing Spider-Girl. Have you ever got a chance to read it?
I have read it.
Awesome, yay. So, again, one of my favorite series. It features the daughter of Spider-Man. And so, it started off Mayday Parker. It started off as a what-if story because there was a point in time where Spider-Man Mary Jane had a child. And what ended up happening is that in the storyline of the main comic series, she kind of like dies, disappears. It's kind of like left off to the side. But in this what-if story, it's like, what if they had kept that child? Spider-Man retires. She raises a child with Mary Jane. And she becomes her own hero. And she wears Ben Reilly's old costume. And so, it's an amazing read. You can find it in trades. It ran for a long time, and again, it's a popular series. And again, as we get ready to talk about like Spider-Verse to see the movie later, this is one of those characters that I wish would have popped up in the movie.
Oh, that would have been nice.
Yeah, because as much as the promotional materials I've seen out there, and a lot of things that they've done with Spider-Verse recently, they really haven't featured Mayday that much. And again, she's just one of my favorite characters.
And based on one of the plot points in the movie, that would have actually been really like emotional. But maybe the next movie.
Maybe. Fingers crossed. Well, I mean, we do know we're getting a female Spider-Verse team movie, so hopefully so. And then my second reading choice, this goes out to my yoink wrestling fans out there. I went ahead and picked up WWE's new comic featuring AJ Styles, the phenomenal AJ Styles. And I had to say, I was a little bit worried going into this because I've read some of the WWE comics before, and they're not always the best.
Yeah.
They're not always the best. Yeah. Like, you kind of read this and you're kind of like the people are doing is like, have you guys really worked on comics before? Do you understand how this medium was done? But I read this and I liked it a lot. So pretty much what they're doing now is they're going back and looking at old WWE matches and they're fleshing them out more, giving the characters more backstory.
Interesting. So it really is like a match on paper.
It is, exactly. So what's dope is like, so last summer there was this huge match between AJ Styles and Brock Lesnar. As you see from the cover, again, he was overmatched. He was pretty much like, again, David and Goliath situation. But the whole comic gives this whole backstory about him like growing up as a kid, him like going against bullies, and his dad saying, you don't always have to win every fight. You just have to fight.
Aww.
Because here's the thing, guess what? They're going to like regret messing with you next time.
That's really good advice.
And so as he goes to this match with Brock Lesnar, he goes with that exact same mentality. And then for wrestling fans out there, they actually flesh out Brock Lesnar's character more. They actually talk about some of his real life interests from like hunting and whatnot, incorporate to his character as he's going through and like having actual conversations with AJ Styles. So honestly, it gives you more backstory, more depth to this match than you actually ever expected.
And when is the match from?
It's from Survivor Series last year.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
and it's cool. It gives the writers enough time to go back and look at it and break down the psychology of it. And it was perfect timing because AJ Styles has a really cool storyline going on in WWE right now too.
Nice.
So I would say again, it's a really good jumping on point for both these books. So again, if you want to check out Spider Girl, you can go and pick up pretty much any of your local comic shops to find a trade. And then for the WWE comic, again, you can find that in all your local comic shops. And my last recommendation actually is in the comic.
Oh, what?
It's not. It's Castlevania, the anime series that was on Netflix.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so season
okay.
2 just came out, and here's the thing: you're probably like, "Wait, Johnny, why are you recommending this? This isn't a comic. It's a Japanese comic, but it's an anime. Why are you recommending this?" Well, here's the thing: the reason why I recommend is because Warren Ellis is a writer for the show. So Warren Ellis, as you might be familiar with, is a famous comic writer. He's worked on a lot of different series, like created a lot of stuff for Marvel and DC. And so when he got a chance to write for Castlevania, you really feel that comic storytelling right there. He has really great fleshed out characters. There's awesome fight scenes. It's honestly one of the best series I've seen in the past year.
And Castlevania did come from a Japanese comic, a manga?
Well,
Or
no,
you were just saying
based,
it's just anime?
yeah, it's
Okay.
based upon the video game series Castlevania from Nintendo.
Okay.
And so, and honestly, the thing about it is, which I got to give him a lot of kudos for, adapting a video game into anything
Yeah,
from a
that's
movie really
hard.
is really hard to do. But he did a great job here, and he has multiple characters who all have arcs to them, and so they're all fleshed out and really good. So if you're looking for something quick to watch, Castlevania is only 12 episodes total. You can find it on Netflix right now, so I highly suggest going to check it out. It was a great watch, and props to Warren Ellis for transition from comics into anime writing. It's really cool.
All right, I'm gonna have to check that out.
And so, speaking of jumping into other worlds, we have
All right, transition.
we're going to break down some of the Spider-Verse people from you.
Yay!
So, as you guys know, in Spider-Verse, they're all from multiple realities. We got Spider people come from all these different places. And so, before you get into that, guess what? You need a little bit of backstory. You need to hear what some of these people are. So, we're going to break it down for you right now.
Yeah. I mean, starting with Miles Morales, who hopefully you know who he is.
Oh, you better
right?
know who Miles Morales is.
Earth, I think he was like originally Earth 1610. It's like ultimate Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So his backstory is that Peter Parker is his Uncle Ben. So
Pretty much, yep.
he got powers accidentally from his Uncle Aaron stealing a formula, the same formula that recreates the spider powers. And then, he was over at his uncle's house, got bit by a spider who took the formula. Now he has powers. And he was like, I don't like powers. That doesn't sound good to me. But then he sees Peter Parker die. And he's like, I could have saved that man if I had used my powers. So
If
now
I got involved.
I will be Spider-Man.
Yep.
And here we are. He is Spider-Man. And Peter Parker, on the other hand, the Peter Parker in
The Ultimate Universe.
the Ultimate Universe, right. So he dies, in the comics he died when he was a teenager. But here I think he's in his 20s. He's like,
in the movie.
yeah, in the movie he's in his 20s.
Exactly.
He's married to Mary Jane. He's just a super happy, just like loves 26? Oh. Okay, he's specifically 26 years old. That is how into his 20s he is. And he's married Mary Jane. He's really happy about being a superhero. Then he's dead.
He's a grad student.
Okay. Joe is telling us he's a grad student. And you're high-fiving for Joe. Thank you, Joe.
I was going to say, well, tell me, so yeah. So he's a 26. He's a grad student at Empire State University and everything like that. So this is that older version of Peter Parker where he's like out of his teens and everything like that. And so Peter Parker who's a vet in the field, who's like been through some stuff.
And it's sort of like, you think he's kind of going to be the viewpoint character. Because it starts off with him being like, hey, I'm Peter Parker, what's up? Oh, wait, no, I'm dying.
Exactly.
So that Miles Morales can have his story. But that leads us to
Peter Parker from...
Peter Parker from Sad Sack Earth. I don't know what Earth number this is. But this Peter
616.
Parker... Oh, 616? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. 616?
Yeah.
Okay. So he is Jake Johnson, and he's basically Jake Johnson on screen. So he's Peter Parker in his 40s. He and Mary Jane divorced because she wanted to have kids, and he was like, no, thank you. Aunt May died. He just lives alone in his sad little apartment when he's not being Peter Parker. So he has to teach Miles Morales how to be Peter Parker, right? Except, he's kind of an asshole about it. But in a fun way, right?
Yeah.
In a Jake Johnson, in a Nick from New Girl kind of way.
Exactly.
That is Jake Johnson all the time.
Which is dope, though, because if you think about it, that's pretty much how Peter Parker is, most of the time. When he has a mask on, cracking jokes, messing with people, it's actually like, yeah, that's pretty much how he is. He's a wisecracker, sarcastic person. Kind of like Jezzer.
Kind of like Jezzer, yes. But I think this is the first time that we've seen, like, old Peter Parker in not in a comic, but in, like, not live action. You know what I'm saying? In moving pictures.
Animation.
Thank you.
I got you.
In moving photos. This is the first time that we've seen kind of just like, older, wiser, kind of more broken Peter. So that's gonna be fun. Then we've got Gwen Stacy right there in the middle.
Yay!
Spider-Gwen!
Go Spider!
Yeah, Go Spider, Spider-Gwen, Spider-Woman, whatever you want to call it.
So many different names.
Yeah, so she's from the Earth, where she got bit by a radioactive spider, and then Peter Parker was also her Uncle Ben, because he was her biffle, and he got jealous of Spider-Woman, or he wanted to, like, impress her or whatever, so he became the Lizard, because that's a great idea. And then he died. And she was like, I could not save Peter Parker. Oh my God. I'm going to be a Spider-Woman with many different names. So she's going to come, you know, face to face with Jake Johnson's Peter Parker.
Which is cool. And honestly, it's kind of like, and that's reminiscent of actually happened in the Spider-Verse comic. When they meet face to face, it's always this big emotional moment. Whereas Peter's like, I lost you. She's looking at him like, I lost you. Yeah. And so they make a promise not to lose each other. Aww. So that's dope. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's going to be fun. But yeah, and then we've got Penny Parker, who's like a kind of interesting, exciting, newer character, who's also like literally an anime character. Like she's drawn, you've seen the trailer, so she's drawn like she's an anime character. So she's a Japanese-American schoolgirl, and she has like sort of like a Pacific Rim situation going on, where she's got like a mech spider that she like has like a psychic connection with, and she like, gets in, and so she fights Transformer style, or Power Ranger style, whatever style you want to call it,
Gundam style,
all the Gundam style. And so what's interesting is that in the comic, I know it's more like she's kind of like not depressed, but like kind of moody, temperamental. You know, she inherited this from her dad, and she doesn't really necessarily want to do it, but someone's got to.
Right.
And she comes from kind of like a Ghost in the Shell world, right?
Okay.
Because that's the kind of like cyberpunk world that she's from. Whereas in the movie, it seems much more like she's like happy-go-lucky, like Genki girls.
Yeah, like typical anime character girl and everything.
Exactly.
Like, oh, cute.
Yeah.
Things like
and
that.
she's literally Peter Parker if he was in an anime, because she was adopted by May and
Ben, everything like that.
Right.
Oh, sick.
After her parents died. So she's just got his story, except she's got a little, like, creature machine, and is a Japanese girl who is an anime. Toku Kid speaks to us again!
We got a super chat from Toku Kid. He says, we need Petra Parker, Madam Web, and Spider Monkey.
Oh! Apparently, spoilers. No, lies again, but that's okay because Toku lies. So, but yeah, I don't actually know any of these people, but I'm sure that they would be wonderful.
I'm super familiar with Madam Web. Spider Monkey, I'm a little familiar with. Petra Parker, I can't replace now.
Another Parker.
Yeah.
Another Parker.
But from what I've heard, though, and again, like, we're not going to give out too many spoilers here, but from what we've heard is, again, we have the Spider-Verse, and with the trailer, they're kind of giving us, like, I want to say, like, just, like, the first layer of it, but as we get into the movie, apparently, like, a lot more Spider people are supposed to pop up.
It's like an onion.
Exactly, as you peel back layers.
Yes.
Like Shrek. But, so, yeah, so the thing was, I would say I would compare this to Ready Player One. It's like when you watch the trailer for Ready Player One, you saw a couple of different heroes, like, oh.
But you still got a couple more.
Exactly, but then all of a sudden the fight scenes happen, you're like, there's that person, Turtles and Rangers and blah, blah, blah. So the thing about it is, I think we're going to get a lot of Spider people here, and we're going to get that palette sated.
Yeah, and so while you don't get Madam Web, who I assume is like I imagine she's a literal spider person. I have no idea, but we do have Spider-Ham.
Oh, Spider-Ham!
Yeah,
yay!
And that's
just in time for the holidays.
Yeah, just in time.
Yay!
That sounds like you're going to eat him. But yeah, so again, you see that he's also drawn differently, right? He's drawn like he's like a little like 2D, animated pig. But okay, so isn't it like he was a spider bitten by a radioactive pig? Huh? Is that a thing, or is it a pig bitten by a radioactive spider?
Pig bitten by a radioactive spider, I believe.
Okay.
Oh, what?
So it was a spider that was bitten by a pig.
By
if you guys know which one it is, tell me, because I think he was a spider bitten by a pig, which made no sense to me, because I was like, why doesn't he look at all like a spider?
Right.
But anyway, I think that he's basically there to be the butt of every joke.
Exactly.
Or to actually create the jokes themselves, right? Like you saw in the trailer. They're like, can it get weirder? And he's like, it just got weirder. Thanks.
Yeah, so you're right. So yeah, he's a pig. He's a spider who's made by a radioactive pig, and Peter Parker. Yeah. So yeah.
And in his world, all the animals can talk. Right?
Exactly.
And we see that he's sort of seasoned in the traveling of different worlds because when he gets there, he's like, oh wait, can the animals talk here or no? Like let me tell me how I need to behave. So I think that's gonna be, he's definitely gonna be a fun one.
It is. And not only that though, but he has like again that flavor of like comedy and everything. And honestly, a lot of them do
I see you and your double entendres.
Oh,
you want to eat Peter Porker.
If I get some rolls. but no, I'm loving these choices right now. Like he's gonna be funny. We got the anime character bringing that comedy aspect as well. You got Spider-Man, who we know gets more of the serious emotion from. This is really good.
Yeah.
All right, who's up next?
We got Spider-Man Noir, who is Nick Cage Spider-Man, and seems like he's gonna act like Nick Cage, super dramatic and
over the top at all times.
Yes, like depressed in a hilarious way. And yeah, so he's like literally in shadow. The light does not touch him. And he is an AU Peter Parker. Again, he's another Peter Parker, and he grew up in New York during the Great Depression. So that explains his behavior. So in his world, the Goblin's a mobster.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So, and that's why I guess he kind of looks like a trench coat detective, right? He looks like he's like, I think he makes several references to being a hard-boiled detective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he also can't like see colors very well, like because everything's black and white for him. So I guess everything's literally that way, or like in shading. I don't know. And
he lived in everything. He sees everything in black and white. He lives in a world of gray type deal.
Yeah, like a grayscale kind of situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very pulpy hero and everything like that. All right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think it's another one that's like he could easily have made him be like it's like he's like the super serious one, but in a silly way, right?
Exactly. Where they're kind of making fun of him, mocking type way.
Yeah.
He's trying to be serious Batman-esque style, but they're like,
right.
This is a Spider movie. We don't know.
Exactly.
We're a little more relaxed than that. We got some jokes,
great.
web in the eye, walk. You know how we do it. Save the world.
Yes. And then there's definitely going to be more that, are spoilery ones that we don't, that we literally don't know about because I haven't seen the movie. But
yeah, sadly enough, I happen to know Joe Deckelmeyer, and every time I talk to him, he spoils a new one.
Yes,
so
he keeps giving us.
He kind of ruins my day every time I see him.
He's not letting us live in peace.
No, not at all.
Oh, Battersea Night.
We got another super chat.
We need Simpsons Spider Pig.
Oh my gosh! Oh wow.
But yes, we do. There's many more that we need. So yeah. I want every single Spider character that we can have, and we're gonna have more Spider movies, so we have plenty of time for them.
There's also post-credit scene. Some people stay.
Okay, make sure you stay because there is a post-credit scene every time I go to a Marvel movie or any kind of superhero movie. Suddenly, people leave after the movie ends during the credits, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" There's clearly we've been doing this for 10 years, guys. There is another scene.
Exactly.
After the
it's
credits.
weird. It was like every time I'm there, I'm like, we just got finished watching Avengers. We got done watching Spider-Man Homecoming. And people are walking out. It's like, you know there's more, right?
Right.
This is
not the end.
It's like, this is the point where you like check your phone, you send a tweet. It was like, it was so good. Right. Take a selfie.
Yeah,
and then boom, more movies.
Digest what you just
exactly.
saw. And you're gonna
talk
get
with
some
your
more.
friends. Hang out for a minute. Breathe. So that's dope. So we get a post-credit scene as well. Sweet. Awesome. Great breakdown.
Thank you.
So, again, we got a lot of characters coming in Spider-Verse, and speaking of the universe as a whole...
The universe as a whole. I don't know why I was like, imagine the universe, but as a whole. Okay.
Wait, what? As a whole? Like, you fell down the hole?
Yes, you fell down the rabbit hole of the universe. Okay, continue.
So, speaking of the universe as a whole, we, in a Universal Protector, we have a new Captain Marvel trailer.
That was a beautiful transition.
Thank you. I try.
You did very well. All right. Yes. So we got a second Captain Marvel trailer, and it was potentially even better than the first Captain Marvel trailer. I don't know. I was really excited by it. For a second, I thought we were going to just watch the whole thing. Like, let's just be quiet for 2.5 minutes and watch the whole thing again. So what did you guys think of the trailer? I hope that you guys loved it, because if you didn't, then you have bad taste. I'm just kidding. You can feel however you feel. So yeah, what did you think of it?
Made me more excited. So here's the thing: the first trailer was like a lot more low key. It was just like kind of like that slow build and everything like that. But I feel like this is the trailer's going to bring in like the movie going audience, everything like that. This is when we're bringing like like the people who haven't like who are kind of like on the fence about everything like that. It's going to bring in like everyone's like, ooh, I want to see this and I'm excited or whatnot. And it was also like a little bit more like again just like inspiring and fun to see like Captain Marvel. So again, it sold me on it. Like again, I was already sold, but this is like yes, this is going to be good.
Like you were sold like concept wise, and now this really like sold you on the content.
Exactly about the action side of it. Like this one seems like more action oriented. It was more like okay, this is a superhero movie.
Right. And you also get like you actually get the sense of what her backstory is. Right. You see that there's a conflict there between what she's made to believe she is and then what she really is. And of course, you got the humor.
Yeah,
so
like the fighting grandma scene.
Yes, like
which is hilarious.
Grandma.
I love how they keep building that up right
Yes.
there. Like if this ends up being like this, you know the movie? What's the movie? They Are. It's like the whole alley fight scene and everything like that. If this ends up being like Marvel's alley fight scene, her finding this grandma on the bus for like 10. Oh, They Live. Thank you. They Live. I will be dying laughing. Like, oh my gosh, it just keeps going. The bus driver's like, feel like I'm a speed. Like, what's going on?
But yeah, I did really like. Well, first the grandma. So Carol can tell, or she can like sense a scroll, right? That's like one of her skill sets, powers. So I wonder if we're going to see that happen like more. Like this is like the funny version of it, right? So it'll probably happen early on in the movie, and then I assume it's kind of like Chekhov's gun, where she's going to realize that some very important person is a scroll now.
Exactly. You have to go after them and everything like that, like some senator or politician or like something along those lines or whatnot. Which is a crazy power to have. Is like no matter where you're going, like you're kind of like not trusting people or whatnot.
Right.
But that's dope.
Speaking of not trusting people, I'm going to skip all the way to the end of the trailer with my favorite moment, which was Nick Fury and the cat, whose name I can't remember. What is the name now? Something that's not Chewie. Goose, right? The cat named Goose, who I think many people have had theories on, because in the comics,
It's an alien.
Thank you, Joe. Carol in the comics has a cat named Chewie, but the cat is really a Florkin.
Yeah.
Right, and the Florkin is a tentacle alien that fakes itself as a cat, so that people will love it, which is a great idea.
It's hilarious, yeah.
Yes, but so how Nick Fury has 2 eyes in the Captain Marvel trailer, and he only has 1 eye in our time. So many people are speculating, myself included, that the last time he trusted someone was this cat, and this cat took his eye. So I really hope that is a plot line in the movie.
Oh my gosh.
And if it's not, I'm going to be really upset.
Oh my gosh. I hope it's not, though. I hope it's not. If he loses his eye to that cat. Oh my gosh.
Only because it's not really a cat. If it was really a cat, I would be against it, because I'd be advocating more hatred of cats.
You know what I would love for them to do, though? I would love them to keep making some more Marvel movies set in the 90s, and Nick Fury's eye becomes like that hot tub time machine joke. Where it's just like every movie, you're just exactly. You're just like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen?
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. But other things that we see in the trailer include, that small snippet of Maria Rambeau, who I'm very much excited for. Not only because she's Monica Rambeau's mom, but also just because Brie Larson talked about the like complex dynamic between them, that's really like the love story in the film, and how just like they just have a very deep connection with each other. So I'm really looking forward to just seeing like a complex female dynamic in a Marvel movie, because that's not usual, since there are not enough females to have complex dynamics with.
If Joe was here, he would point out the fact that if this was a DC movie, they'd have enough females to actually get it done. But no, I agree with you. Like, honestly, like getting to see that relationship between the two of them and everything like that, and see it play out is actually going to be like a very like beautiful thing. Because I agree with you, we don't see that enough, like in like our Marvel movies or just in superhero movies in general. See this like complex relationship between 2 female characters, and whatnot, and it still feels like so. This week, Kelly Sue DeConnick also did like a set visit or whatnot, and she posted that awesome selfie with her and Brie Larson and everything like that. Yeah. So it feels like they're really paying a lot of homage to the run that she did, and they're using that as the blueprint for a lot of things they're doing.
They said that she was a consultant, right?
Oh,
also,
nice.
So that she really is, I think, putting in a lot of her work into it, which I think is going to be great.
So I'm loving this. I'm looking forward to it. So overall, Captain Marvel trailer, thank God. Because again, I'll be honest with you, that first trailer, I didn't even call it a trailer, I call it a teaser. But honestly, I feel like finally this one is kind of like, hopefully, like, this is the one that's going to sell you and get people to go see this movie.
Oh, finally. Speaking of Jude Law, right? We still don't officially know who Jude Law is in the movie, do we? Because I know people were saying we're Marvel, but then I think that... Yes, there's a Funko Pop, exactly. There was a Funko Pop that came out that said...
What did it say?
It said Yon-Rogg.
Oh, really?
And do you know who Yon-Rogg is?
That one. So,
Annette Bening's Captain Marvel.
Okay. Okay. So, Joe says Annette Bening, who we see there, is Captain Marvel. And Yon-Rogg is the character that in some of the origin stories is the one who fused Captain Marvel's DNA with Carol's in the first place.
Oh, okay.
So he's the one that experimented on
Carol and started
Carol,
this everything like
and
this.
then later becomes a big bad for her, right?
Okay.
Once she realizes that he actually betrayed her. And he's
okay.
Which makes sense. Like, I definitely was feeling like he's going to be her mentor, and then he's going to, betray her. So...
I mean, if it's Jude Law, too. I mean, looking from the trailer, he looks like a villain. So, at the same time, I was low-key a little bit hoping he would be actual Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'd be like a hero who would die, and like that would be her Uncle Ben in a way, and give her that motivation to go on. But this still works as well. Because I mean, okay, actually, no. Actually, no.
What?
I'm sorry, I just kind of like talked it out of my head. And I'm actually okay. This has me worried then because it seems like, and you totally disagree with me. It feels like right here we feel like that same Marvel formula of the hero fighting themselves at the end. Kind of like Iron Man 1 is you're fighting another Iron Man type deal, or Black Panther, you're fighting a gold version of Black Panther. This feels like very reminiscent of, okay, she's going to end up finding like another version of herself at the end.
I guess it might be that. Like, because I was thinking, we see that there's a war between the Kree and the Skrulls, right? And she's obviously on the Kree side. But then she realizes the Kree kind of suck too. So in the end, that's what she says, like, I'm not going to fight your war, I'm going to end it. So then she's sort of like, you both suck, I'm going to,
go do my own thing.
Yeah. Or I'm going to, like, stop you guys, which is when she gets into her badass outfit to stop them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so then I do think that she would probably be fighting whatever candidate is, if it's Yanrog, because that's, like, the origin story in full, or if they're saving him for a villain in a later film.
Okay.
It could be one or the other.
I'm hoping it's not, because honestly, again, that's kind of the problem. Says, like, we'll probably talk about this on a later show, but right now Marvel's pushing Black Panther for like Oscar run and whatnot. And one of the things that's kind of like holding it back is the fact that like the first parts of that movie are beautiful, the cast is amazing, costumes, everything's on point, but when you get to that third act is the place where it kind of like hits a wall in a way, because it's just very predictable. And so the thing about it is, Marvel movies in the way have kind of like gone down that line of being very predictable towards the end. So I feel like they need to start pushing that and hopefully break out of that trope.
Hopefully
at the same time though, I can understand why they might not do with this movie, because again, like we talked about before, there's so much expectation with it with their first female superhero. They probably want to play it safe, but at some point though,
like stick to the
stick to the like the same like blueprint that works. But at some point though, they need to push the envelope and figure out something else.
I totally agree with that. And yes, #show did say that the comics just retconned Carol's origin. So yes, this is true. In Life Story of Captain Marvel, there's a totally new backstory where she thinks her dad had an affair, but it turns out that her dad hooked up with her mom when her mom was actually like a Kree warrior. And then her mom was like, I want to just, be a homemaker now. So let's hide my Kree backstory and also Carol's DNA. So, but that's obviously not what they're going with in the movie. Yeah. And I think it makes more sense. Like, it's much more, like, traumatic for her to find out that she was experimented on, etc. So I'm cool with that.
Nice. I'm hoping, honestly, that hopefully with the movie coming out, hopefully start doing better with the comics, because the comics after Kelly Sue DeConnick left, I feel like they don't really know what to do with Carol Danvers' character that much, because they had Civil War 2.
Yeah.
In Civil War 2, she was bad.
They definitely used her character incorrectly.
They did.
I didn't like that.
They had her being like the villain in the way, the old Tony Stark role, and it was like, this is not what you want to be doing, especially when she has a movie coming out. So hopefully, when the movie comes out, they get everything back on track. And and so staying with Marvel news or whatnot, and talk about all good things, and you'll probably see more of this at the beginning. We got an Avengers 4 teaser news.
Ooh. Yes. So we find out like that it might be dropping tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or
at 6 p.m.
Pacific. Okay.
All
so
right.
what do you think we're gonna see in the teaser?
Okay.
I like how it's so funny because it's like we have like news about getting a teaser, where then we're just gonna like what do we think we'll see? It's like when you're writing an essay, right? You're like, I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna tell you, then I'm gonna tell you, and then I'm gonna tell you what I told you.
Exactly. So. I think with the Avengers 4 teaser, I think we'll probably get, I don't think we're going to get that much, to be honest with you. I think we're going to get enough to kind of get people like excited for it. But again, there's supposed to be like a lot of twists and turns here, potential with time travel or not. I think we'll see like the Avengers maybe older.
Okay.
Like 4 years, like we'll see
so
like
we're gonna get the
exactly. So we'll get them older. We'll see them like in mourning. It might be like a dark trailer where they're kind of sad and everything like that.
Maybe
and then,
it'll start in the quantum realm.
Oh,
like,
that could be dope. Exactly. Them like getting PM out and everything.
Right.
Sorry, Scott out and everything, explaining everything that's happened to him. So there's a lot of potential with that. So I think it's going to start. I think it's going to be a more darker trailer, a more melancholy trailer.
Yeah. How much of it do you think is going to be actual footage from the movie versus like something they put in like fake scenes, or just like scenes that don't actually end up in the movie?
What am I hoping for?
100% everything in the movie.
Exactly. I'm hoping for like everything we see is like something from the movie a little bit.
But at the same time, like you don't want too much because then you're gonna guess like the events of the film.
But at the same time, though, you have to drop a trailer at some point.
Yeah, you have to drop a
trailer. You
can't
go for like what it was like, because after this it was gonna be like about 6 months away. You have to give something away.
Yeah.
Like at some point,
just for the fans, because the funny thing is like they don't have like they could just not promote it and everyone's gonna it would be like a secret event and it'd still make $1 billion. But for the fans, like, we want to be able to discuss and dissect.
Exactly, and it's going to happen regardless. And you just got to have to go ahead and start dropping pieces of it, and let people do that. Because I mean, we've been speculating for what the past, like, almost like since the last movie came out, like literally from the point the last movie came out, we've been speculating about what's going to be happening in this movie.
And yes, it's 6 p.m. Pacific is 9 p.m. Eastern. For those who are asking.
So let me ask you this: what do you hope is going to be in the trailer?
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, I want to see Quantum Realm. I want to see older characters. I want to see Cassie. Yeah, for sure. And I think I want to see, like, I'd like to see the characters that weren't in the previous movie that are going to be in this one. You know, just like a hint of who we're going to actually get to see. You know, like, not that I personally care about Hawkeye, but since I would like to know if he's going to be in the movie or not, if he's going to be in it, show him. You know, that kind of thing, just so people have a sense of like how much more it's going to expand.
I agree with you. I want to see, like, I want to see Ronan in there a little bit, if he's going to be Ronan, or is he going to be Hawkeye? I mean, we've heard a lot of rumors about that.
Right.
I want to see what Bruce Banner's going to be looking like, because remember, way back in, like, July, we got that teaser of the poster for the toys and everything like that. Right. And so I want to see, like, how much of that is actually going to be true. But all in all, again, I'm just excited to see something, because, again, look, this is potentially going to be the movie of the year.
Yeah.
For my opinion,
for
anyway.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's at least going to be one of the most talked about movies of the year, you know?
Let me ask you this, because Ryan was like gearing up to that Return of the King situation and whatnot. Do you think if they pull this off right, you think they could do a Return of the King, maybe get Avengers 4 nominated for some Oscars and stuff?
You know what? I do think so. Especially if they have like emotional beats that are strong enough. And also, you know how Oscars try to do that popularity award, and then, you know, it's because they want, like, they know that we want those kinds of films nominated, but they're still not willing to let go of their, like, cachet
traditional ones, everything like that.
So I think that
dramas and everything like that.
With like a little bit more of a push, we're gonna get to the point where they're just gonna start nominating it. You know, yeah.
Also, too, I think, and before we get into my point, we have another super chat. Tokyo Kid says, "I want to see Reptile. I want him in the MCU." Really? All right, I want to see Reptile. All right.
Everything he says is laughter.
I just wanted to tell you. So the Avengers movie, they're only going to cut the first 11 minutes is going to be.
The trailer's only going to have first 11 minutes of footage.
The first 11 minutes of footage. So the rest of the movie.
What if the trailer was just 11 minutes long?
It's not going to be 11 minutes long.
Okay, fine.
It's not going to be 11 minutes long.
It's Joe.
But there's a rumor that we might not even get the title for Avengers 4 with the trailer.
What?
That's the current
Avengers
rumor going on
4 untitled.
So I'm going to leave you guys with this. What do you think the title for Avengers 4 is?
Oh, yeah. What do you guys think Avengers 4 title is? Yes, the specific time is 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 9 p.m. Eastern. I can't tell you other times because I don't know them, but that's it. So yes, title, go.
They've already said that the title
is not Annihilation.
No, yeah, but they've said it's been mentioned before in like the previous movie and everything like that.
Oh, they did say that.
Yeah,
okay.
But again, I'm not sure how much of the mess with people is going to be true. But if I had to say anything, I don't want to see Avengers Alliance.
Okay.
I like that title. I like that name, Alliance, and because I like them all being aligned. Because if we think about this last movie, the storytelling is that they were very fractured. They were all over the place. You had a team here, you had a team here, you had a team there. They were all like doing different things. In a way, they weren't the Avengers because the Avengers stand united as one.
Yeah.
If they had all been together in one place, that story takes a totally different turn.
Yeah.
They're more successful.
That's true.
And so the thing about Izzo is that I want to see possibly like Avengers Alliance. That's the theme of them.
Alliance.
Us getting the entire team back together.
Yeah, Avengers Alliance. I think like.
That's what I think it is too.
You think it's Avengers Alliance too? Huh.
Let me tell you why.
Okay, tell us why. Just come back. Just stay here. Why did you go
I
anywhere?
have work to do.
Okay.
Here's the reason why I think it's Avengers Alliance, though. It's because they've already said that there's going to be a threat greater than Thanos coming in this movie.
What? All right.
And I think that we already know that the Eternals are going to be one of Marvel's next movies because we broke that right here at that hashtag
Yes,
show.
we did.
Well done. We do that
As
right here.
we do. Yes.
So I think that Thanos' granddaddy, who's Eternal, and also his brother, are going to come down, and they're going to want to change things. And Thanos is going to realize, oh shit, I need help, and I have to fix all this. And he's going to go to the Avengers, and that's why it's going to be called Avengers Alliance. Not only that, but if you noticed in the Video Game Awards tonight, what was the trailer that came out? Marvel Alliance 3.
Oh, the video.
So I think this is all marketing because it's Avengers Alliance.
That makes sense. Avengers Alliance, yeah.
Mic drop. I'm out.
Well done.
I like Avengers.
Bye, Joe.
Avengers Assembled. Avengers Assemble. Avengers Assembled.
Ooh, so you say just call it Avengers Assemble?
Yeah, but I mean, but two scenes said that.
Oh, okay.
That. Like Avengers Assembled. And Toku Kid had an excellent title: Avengers 4 $1 billion richer.
Thank you for the super chat,
That's
Kid.
100%. You know, that's what the meaning behind the title will be for sure. But no, I like Avengers Alliance or just any sort of like union. But like Joe just pointed out, the fact that they have a game that's called that. You know,
makes sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. And again, it was like it'll be so good to have this done. Actually, find out what Phase 4 is going to be.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, I just want to know what they're going to be doing in this next phase.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that'll be like, you know, we're going to get a hint in the actual movie, and then of course there's still going to be post-credit scenes, so that'll also give us more.
Exactly.
Flavor.
And I'm pretty sure, like, once the movie comes out, like, at the end of it, they'll start just announcements after announcements after announcements and everything like that.
That was the next 20 movies.
Exactly. And then Comic-Con this year is going to be insane because they skipped this year. So they'll potentially come this year with, like, so many different trailers and whatnot. Because we still have I just realized, because we actually haven't talked about it since the incident, but we actually have a Guardians of the Galaxy 3 coming.
Oh.
I keep forgetting about that.
Is that not on hold right now? I feel like I heard that it was on hold.
Well, yeah, it's like a baby or something like that. But they were like working on everything.
Yeah,
so now that's up. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens after this movie comes out and what the new slate is going to be.
I just know they have to bring back Gamora in this movie, or I'm going to be real mad. Especially if I have to wait for Guardians 3. So that's all.
All right. So as we go ahead and wrap up everything like that, Tati, where can everybody find you this week?
You can find me at Martell's on Twitter, and then of course on Gingerdale. Although you probably won't find me there this next week, but you should still watch it anyway, so that you can talk about how ridiculous Riverdale is all the time.
No.
How about you?
You can find me on a little show on Saturday we call Henshin Hang Out. I'll be there with my bros Jezer and Justin. We'll be talking about all cool things, Henshin and whatnot. In addition to that, you may find me Sunday night on a wrestling show. So people are asking again, will we have wrestling this week? We do have a pay-per-view this week, so we'll see if we can get like merge schedules and whatnot, and see if we can do a talk and a breakdown about that.
And then I will watch your show and finally learn what wrestling truly means.
Yay! And then also coming this week, we'll be going to check out Spider-Verse, so I'll be checking that out. So make sure you tune in next week, because next week we'll have a breakdown for you, a spoiler-free review of Spider-Verse, let you know what we thought about the movie.
Yes.
So we're probably going to see it.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, we'll tell you it was amazing.
So be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and make sure, as always, to keep coming back here for everything trending and
Geek Pop Culture.
We out.